Back when we cut this tree down, it fell down quite dramatically and put some big holes in the deck. And I'm not that upset about it because I don't like this deck, but they do need to be patched or else I will fall in and break a leg. There's a pretty good stretch here that needs to be patched, but I'm thinking that I can just pull some from way back in the back where we don't really go, or over in the corner on the other side of the jacuzzi where we absolutely never go. So I'll pull a few scrap pieces, patch them in, and no one except all the thousands of you that are watching this will even know the difference.
You got, oh, don't you know?
In my typical fashion, I can't throw things away, so I've set all of this cardboard out by the street and organized it in a nice fashion. And I'm hoping someone maybe takes it and builds a fort or uses it as a craft project or something. So I posted it on my Buy Nothing group and on Craigslist, and maybe someone will just see it when they stroll by.
You got, oh, don't you know?
The boxes are almost gone. One of the neighbor kids I saw dragging it down the sidewalk the other day. Another one, I met a new neighbor and she was like, hey, can I have that for a fort? And I was like, yeah, that's what the sign says. Grab it, enjoy. And then I think another neighbor took it and is using it in her garden as like kind of like a mulch or top cover in her veggie bed. So it has gone to good use. We set up the table yesterday and of course fell in love with it, but this morning there was a little bit of fog in the air, so the table's kind of damp and you can see how much brighter the color is with it wet. So I'm feeling very convinced that I want to seal this with a sealer and like a teak oil so that it has this really rich color and preserves this color. This is pretty, but holy Toledo, that's really pretty. Pile of all this galvanized pipe sitting in the backyard for a while, and I'm gonna take it to recycling today and packed it up like a professional. I always want to use something red for things hanging out. Oven mitt works perfectly for preventing the paint from getting chipped, and it just looks great. And then just an old sweater to protect the paint from the ratchet strap. Oven mitt works perfectly for preventing the paint from getting chipped, and it just looks great. And then just an old sweater to protect the paint from the ratchet strap. All pro moves here. Also, name one thing that can't fit in a Prius and I'll tell you that it can fit. Everything fits in this thing. some of the crew guys are very tidy and they keep a really lovely workspace, and some of them are not as tidy. So before he gets here today, I'm going to clean as much as I can, because I cost a lot less to clean per hour than he costs to clean per hour, being I'm zero, and I love it. So let's get this place into shape. Another fun thing I get to do today, in addition to cleaning, is using this foam gun to seal up these cracks to the outside. You can get foam just in a can for like 20 bucks or something, but it always gets sealed shut. So even if you use like one fraction of it, the top gets sealed and then the rest of it becomes obsolete. But my contractor let me borrow his fancy one where it always stays clean at the front. And so let's just do it. And then, oops, it's hard to see and film at the same time, but that'll fill in pretty well and no cracks. So I'm just gonna go around to like all of the holes around here and seal everything up nice and good. Through the whole duration of the renovation, we've been keeping this scrap pile here, and a lot of it looks like maybe trash to some people, but I like to keep it because you never know when you'll need an extra piece. And the guys have been pulling some from there and then using it whenever we need an extra little 2x4 and whatnot. So I always recommend keep a scrap pile and save all your metal scraps because you can recycle those, give them away. I've given so much stuff away on Buy Nothing. It's crazy. So save your stuff, give it away, recycle it, put it to use. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
You got, oh, don't you know?
I've been working on insulation by filling in all of the gaps where the electrical and plumbing goes into the crawl space or up into the attic. And one of the big gaps that we have here is the remnants of our old California cooler, which I think is a really cool artifact of the passive kind of cooling refrigeration system that used to exist in this house. So instead of removing it and patching it with just another board of siding, I went to save it. So you won't see it from the inside because it'll get drywalled over, but from the outside it'll be cool to remember that it was always here. And so to do that, I cut a little board here. I'm just gonna pop it in, nail it in, and then I'm going to foam seal all around it. And then it'll be hidden from inside the kitchen, but we'll be able to enjoy it from outside. Swipe up to learn what this all is about. And there she is, never to be seen from the interior ever again. I'm going to do a little bit more cleaning up, like vacuuming and stuff, and then I will start installing the insulation. And hopefully I have enough. If you follow Daniel or Farmhouse Vernacular, then you should know about this, and obviously you should be following them too. This is rock wool insulation. It's basically rock that has been spun kind of like cotton candy, and it has a good R value, and it's designed to go in between the 2x4s. It's mold resistant. Where's the information? Water repellent, fire resistant. It's good stuff. It costs a little bit more than fiberglass, but it's great because it doesn't leave you all itchy and gross, and it's okay to, like, it's safer to use, green guard, all that good stuff. So let's get it in. This stuff cuts super easy with just a bread knife, and then you cut it to fit the bay, and then whenever there's electrical or something, you just slice it and then shove it in, and then that slice eats it like a little Pac-Man, and in it goes, and you're insulated, and then you have that much more to go. So yeah, basically I'm almost done. back with an insulation update. It's pretty much done except for a few spots where I want the plumber to make a couple of adjustments, but the exterior walls are pretty much all insulated and looking sharp. This spot I didn't fill in because I've been getting a lot of recommendations to make it into like a time capsule because I wanted to save the remnants of the California cooler. I'm all for it. I think it's a cool idea, but I can't figure out what I want to say. Mostly I just want to say, why are you renovating my kitchen? Leave the drywall where it is. It's going to be perfect. But maybe a printout from the Wikipedia about what a California cooler is, a handwritten note about it. I don't know. Yeah, tell me what I should write in there. So yeah, that's the insulation. And then I still need to insulate the interior walls. So the next step is kind of finishing up these last little bits of insulation and then putting in insulation in the interior walls. We got this other rock wool, which is a different kind of insulation from the exterior insulation. So the next step is kind of finishing up these last little bits of insulation and then putting in insulation in the interior walls. We got this other rock wool, which is a different kind of insulation from the exterior insulation. This is designed for soundproofing, which will be nice to have between the bathroom and the kitchen. Once I get that in, we'll be ready to drywall. And then once the drywall is done, then I'm gonna lay my floors. And then I'm just gonna pretend that the kitchen is done and just lay on the floor and leave it like that until I have the motivation to do more. But I'm mostly just gonna revel in not having a bunch of dudes in my house all the time. Oh, and then I can open up all the doorways which have been sealed off. And then it'll feel like a real house. I forgot to mention something else that we did the other day, which is we laid all this new sheathing down. The subfloor before would have been perfectly fine to have used. It was that, what you saw at the diagonal, it was full of termites, but they were patching it in. But then we realized an issue, which is I, of course, want the new hardwoods in the kitchen to line up flush with our existing ones. And so I went and I bought hardwood that was exactly the same size as this, which meant I had to, of course, special order it and everything. But for some reason, this is like floating. And so we had to add an extra layer here so that this would match with that perfectly. So it's kind of silly because I could have just bought 3/4 inch hardwoods and then it would have been fine and I wouldn't have needed to do this. But live and learn. And at least it's nice and clean and pretty. I've been working a little bit today on adding the soundproofing insulation on, so far, this wall, which is between the bathroom and the master. And then I'm gonna do it on all the other ones, and boy, do I hope it's worth it, because it's like 1,000,000 degrees out, and I'm starting to lose my patience with it. It's gonna be worth it. I know it. And I also do kind of enjoy it. It's like satisfying, and it's like Tetris, and
you got emotion. You got